Hello, YouTube. How are you doing? Good to see you. Good to see you. Hi, Cindy. How you doing? All right. It's a few new things that came out today. So we'll wait a second and for people to come in. Hey, good to see you. It's interesting that LAPD has been pretty tight tight-lipped about this case, which is fine. I think at this point I think it's okay. I think it shows that they want to get it right. I don't know if I'm being naive. I don't know if I'm being optimistic or what, but that's the view that I'm getting. And it seems like people want to come out and talk, like the David's Inner Circle. Like this right here. Flojo had sent this to us on their Discord. We went down a rabbit hole last night about this case, the Celeste Rivas David case. And this is Asia Collins' TikTok. She's one of David's friends. She's in the inner circle. And she says, for legal and safety reasons, I do not feel comfortable talking about the case. I will speak about it in due time. In the meantime, I suggest you don't believe everything you see online. So this came out a few hours ago from her TikTok.
I want to go back to streaming so bad. Don't get me wrong. Like, I actually loved streaming, and I hopefully will come back to like some platforms soon. But the streaming community is so severely toxic right now, and I need people to understand that like there's so much stuff that goes behind the scenes that you guys just do not see. But I digress. You guys will probably find out some of the people I'm talking about very soon, because when you're a bad person, eventually everyone finds out naturally. That's the thing about bad people. They expose themselves. I don't need to do anything. Karma's a bitch.
So yeah, so this is Asia. This is the one that Flojo, and then this is the post that Flojo had put up on the Discord. Yeah. Oh, sorry about the music. Yeah, I turned it off. Thank you. Um. So, and then a new long crime video came out too. So I want to play that, and then we'll go over some more stuff. How you doing, Flo? Flojo. So let me play this long crime one. There's two piece. There's two. I chopped it up into two parts, and I'm gonna try. I'm really gonna try to go for an hour today. I have to wake up early tomorrow, so I did want to jump on here and get at least the video and then some of the pictures that came out too, from SF Investigates. So let me play the long crime video.
Where is David? It's a simple question, but probably a complicated answer. For the man who all eyes are on as the investigation continues into the death of the young girl found in his car, as there's no arrests, no named suspect, no named person of interest, and now a statement from the LAPD possibly signaling that no one may ultimately be charged with her death. Why haven't we seen or heard from him? And what do we think he's doing right now? Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. We're going back to a question that keeps coming up. Where is David? Where is the romantic homicide singer as the investigation into the death of 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez continues? The girl whose body was found in the trunk of a Tesla that was registered to David, real name David Anthony Burke, out in LA back on September 8th. He has been keeping a very, very low profile. In fact, as far as we see, there have been no confirmed, verified public sightings of him in months. Where is he? Why haven't we seen him? That is what I want to try to understand today. Because we go back here, let's recall the last time that we saw or heard from him, right? If you recall, if you've been following the story, when all of this broke and Celeste's body was found, he was on tour, more specifically his Withered tour. In fact, the day after the body was found, he performed in Minneapolis to a sold-out crowd at the Fillmore. Now, obviously, there was no mention of the investigation or what happened. And then he would end up canceling the rest of his tour, including a show he was supposed to have in Seattle. So there was no concert in LA. There was no appearance at the LA Grammy Museum that was scheduled for September 24th. And since then, we really haven't seen him. His social media presence has been radio silent too. I mean, if you look at some of his past posts in September, right before this news broke, this is what you have. And it kind of mirrors what was on TikTok too. You go to his Instagram, September 7th, there's a post that reads, Withered Deluxe, Merescence, out September 19th. Every song written exclusively by me on my phone, baby. This is a passion project I put together to make sure I didn't lose the raw emotional weight my music carries and how much it means to you all. Thank you to all the friends who collaborated with me on this. Everyone ate their verses up. September 5th. I start media training tomorrow, guys. Wish me luck. September 3rd. The first official Fortnite anthem, Locked and Loaded, is out now, just in time for Global Championship. Listen everywhere and watch the full video on YouTube. This is about a collaboration that he had with the video game. And while we haven't seen him or heard him, there have been things going on connected to him. For instance, in the beginning of October, and this is something we reported on, he hired prominent criminal defense attorney to the stars, Blair Burke. Talking someone who repped Harvey Weinstein, Lindsay Lohan, Kanye West, Mel Gibson, Britney Spears. She also has been relatively quiet on that front too. We haven't seen any public comment from her about the case. But to be clear, to be very, very clear about this, him reportedly retaining her doesn't mean that he's been charged. No, he hasn't been charged in connection with Celeste's death. He hasn't been named a person of interest. He hasn't been named a suspect. And even him retaining an attorney doesn't necessarily mean that he's about to be charged, okay? And it should also be noted that while he hasn't publicly commented on the investigation, his spokesperson confirmed to media at the time this all broke that David was, quote, fully cooperating with authorities. By the way, speaking legal, he also did something interesting too. He transferred property. So on September 18th, again, this is after Celeste's body was found, someone called 911 to David's parents' house in Hempstead, Texas, in what appears to be a fake report, an alleged swatting incident.
Waller County Sheriff's Office is Amber. Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, Waller County Sheriff's Office.
Hello, I need help.
Okay, what's going on? Where are you at?
My address is...
Okay, what's going on?
I heard, some, gunshots.
Okay. How close to your residence were they?
They were, right outside my house, and I think someone's dead.
Okay, what's your name?
Say it again?
What's your name? Okay, what's a good phone number for you, sir? Okay, and why do you believe that somebody's dead?
I just heard like a loud scream and there was gunshots.
Oh, scream. Okay. After shots. Okay, but you haven't saw or heard anything else after that?
I heard a scream.
Was it a male or a female scream, do you think?
It was like a female.
Female? Okay, we're going to go ahead and get deputies headed out that way and just confirming you're at...
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to get them sent that way, okay?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
We actually interviewed an audio expert who concluded that this call was distorted, that someone masked their voice. It's on a previous episode of Sidebar. You can go check it out. But police end up showing up. They speak to David's parents. They realize there's no danger there. They search the property. They don't find anyone. And then we come to find out that according to TMZ, David apparently transferred deeds of 2 Texas homes to a trust in his mother's name. This apparently happened on September 18th and September 22nd. September 18th was the day of the alleged swatting incident, and that home appears to be one of the properties that we're talking about. So why did he do this? Well, here's what attorney Matthew Sarelson had to say.
I have 2 suspicions as to why he did this. In this case, you guys have been covering this from the start. This is getting crazier and crazier by the minute. I have 2 suspicions as to why he did it. And both of them have to do with asset protection. Old-fashioned, I want to preserve my assets in the event something happens to me. If he is charged criminally, and obviously we're speculating, but if he were to be charged criminally, there would be a monetary fine as part of any potential punishment. If he doesn't have the assets to pay the fine, then he can't pay the fine. So one thing to do is get rid of your assets and put them in someone else's name. The other side to this is related, which is there going to be a civil lawsuit? Celeste's family could file a wrongful death lawsuit against him and others. It's a little premature because there's still a lot of unanswered questions about this. But if they were to file a civil lawsuit, he could essentially try to hide assets in his mother's name or in anyone else's name for that matter. Whether he's successful is a whole different conversation.
And talking properties, as we have reported extensively here on Sidebar, David was apparently staying at a reported multi-million-dollar house in the Hollywood Hills, a property near where this Tesla was found. This was apparently rented out by his manager, and law enforcement issued a search warrant, collected several items from the property. E! News reported that law enforcement sources said that electronics and computers were removed. Well, David moved out right after this search. The LA Times reported that the lease was broken, that there were photos of movers carrying boxes. And if you've been following us here on Sidebar, you know that we have been talking to Steve Fisher, a private investigator who was hired by the owner of that rental property to look into what role that house may have played in all of this. We've spoken to him a few times already, and it's a fascinating discussion. Encourage everybody to go check out those interviews. But I'll tell you what, here was one bombshell he dropped on us.
But I will say this, there are some things that, and I'm talking physical evidence, that was at that house that is, there could have been greater plans as far as getting rid of her. And it's scary, sadistic stuff. And that's why we're trying to learn more about that. I wish I could say more, but for obvious reasons I can't. But it doesn't have to do with how she died, but maybe how they were planning on ultimately getting rid of her, and how maybe that Tesla was just a holding spot at the time, and things just, their timing was just off as far as getting this done. But there's a few things that were just like, will blow your mind.
Also, we just spoke to him the other day, and when I asked him about David and David's whereabouts, here's what Steve had to say. Have you spoken to anyone in David's camp? Do you know where he is at this point?
No, I know that early on, it seemed like he was in California, because when he transferred that property in Texas, it had the notary seal was a California notary. So it appeared that when he signed those documents, he had come back to California, at least for a while. I have no idea if he's still here or where he is. And I've spoken to some people that are like one step removed from the initial players, but I haven't talked to any of the main people I would like to.
All of this to say, we have no idea where David is, what he's doing, when the last time he spoke to law enforcement was. But what can we make of that? All right, so let me bring in Matt Irvine, retired detective, law enforcement instructor. Matt, good to see you. Where do you think David is right now? Let's start right there. Where do you think he is right now?
Well, I'll say honestly, Jesse, I have no idea where David is, but I would say with absolute certainty that his attorney, Blair Burke, knows exactly where he is. And I can say that with certainty because she is a highly sought after a private defense attorney. She can afford to be very selective. And one thing that defense attorneys prize is what they call client control. That means that your client takes your advice, doesn't do anything to get themselves in trouble. And pulling a disappearing act in the middle of an investigation like this would be an absolute sign that she does not have client control, and she just wouldn't put up with it.
So that leads me to the main question I was going to ask you. Even though, and let me be clear, he hasn't been charged, he hasn't been named a person of interest, he hasn't been named a suspect, do police know where he is? I have to imagine they know where he is, because let's say, allegedly, that he did take off. They'd have to alert the public, right? They'd have to say, we're looking for somebody that's connected to this. Again, he may have no role in what happened to Celeste. He may have no role in her body being moved, sure. But I have to imagine the police know where he is. They might be keeping tabs on him. No?
I would expect that that would be the case. Whether they're actively keeping tabs on him or not, I can't say. But I would say, again, a prominent defense attorney like this has to have a working relationship, a relationship of trust with local police and the local district attorney. And so if they're not actively looking at him, they're relying on her representations that she knows where he is and she can produce him if and when that becomes necessary.
Because, again, we haven't had any verified, confirmed public sightings of him. In your experience, if somebody is a part of a case in some way, where do they typically hang out? I mean, they have to be somewhere where, I guess it's not public. I guess it's not in the middle of LA. Maybe somewhere where it's less populated, more rural. In your experience, where would you imagine he might be?
Well, that's a great question. And, there's any number of possibilities. He is a person, at least until recently, who had a fair amount of means. And so I imagine that he is someplace that is neither close to his usual haunts or close to where his family is, because I would expect he'd want to keep them out of this. As you know, they've already been dragged into this in some ways. It's probably very uncomfortable for him and for the family. So I imagine that his attorney has him stashed someplace that is comfortable, but that is close enough that he could be produced to authorities if and when they demand that.
Do you think they're still in contact with him? If you take what his spokesperson has said is true, do you think he's still communicating with law enforcement, cooperating?
David is MIA. And the thing about the assets, we have Chloe. She's one of my members, and she made a really good point on our Discord. I want to read that too about the assets being moved. Hey Rufio, good to see you. Hey Kevin, welcome in. And I want to read that over because I feel like that's important too. Let's see. Let me bring that up. Let's see. Let's see if I can find it. It should be around here somewhere. Pretty much what she was saying. She's pretty much saying just because he's moving the assets doesn't mean they can't go after him. Oh, here we go. Here we go. She says, people convicted of crimes in order to pay restitution still have to pay it. It just gets paid out much more slowly rather than up front. Wealthy defendants like David and Diddy are able to pay up front. Defendants who don't have access to funds have to pay restitution from any deposits to their books, any money they make while in prison, and any money they make in the future. Sometimes it never gets paid back, but restitution isn't just absolved if there are no funds. So pretty much it's hanging over your head, which we kind of figured that, but the way that she puts it was nicely. Rufus said David did nothing wrong. Gold Digger and law enforcement just can't seem to figure out who put the minor child in the front trunk. We're still waiting. Yep, we are. We're still waiting. Still waiting. But these guests that are on Sidebar, and shout out to Sidebar, shout out to Jesse Weber and his guests. The guests that he has on are really good. I really, Jesse was asking really good questions and really, to these two guests, and it's nice to see two new guests, two different perspectives, and that lawyer and then the Matthew, I think, are great. So let me play the other clip, the second part.
Communicating with law enforcement, cooperating with law enforcement at this point?
Again, this is just speculation, but I would expect, given that he's got representation, he's not talking to law enforcement anymore. Any good defense attorney is going to tell their client, if they're under any kind of suspicion, don't talk to the cops unless there's some kind of deal in place that makes this advantageous for you to talk to the cops.
So he may have no role in this whatsoever. And that is interesting, right? If he had no connection, nothing to this, right? I have no idea how the body got in the car. I have no idea what happened to her. Would the police say that? Would the police say, I know there's been a lot of speculation about David. We're coming out right now. He's no way connected. Would you hear something from him? Would you hear something from his attorney?
Possibly. But again, it's really not credible to say he has no connection to this. And I'm not saying that he is criminally culpable in any way for her death, but he had a relationship with her. Unclear exactly what the nature of that relationship was, but it seems like he had an association with her that goes back years. And she's found in the trunk of his vehicle nearby a place where he was staying. So he is absolutely connected in some way to what happened to her. And there's just no way around that. Now, that again, I'm not saying he is culpable in her death, but he is absolutely connected to what happened. And I imagine until this thing is completely untangled, until this investigation is complete, nobody's going to make any definitive statements about how he's connected.
And let me be clear about something else. All of this we're speculating. We don't know for sure. But in your experience, given something like this, cancels his tour dates, do you think he relinquished his passport? Do you think he's in a position where he's saying to law enforcement, I'm not going anywhere. You know, you want to know where I am, here's where I am. Do you think he relinquished his passport?
That's possible. That's certainly something that law enforcement could request of him through his attorney, basically as a kind of act of good faith. But until he's charged, he's under no obligation to do anything to make law enforcement's job any easier in this.
Are you surprised we haven't even heard from him on social media or in some way about his career, about his songs, about his album? Or does it seem from a legal point of view that could be problematic, or even from an optics point of view that could look problematic to be promoting your album or your tour or your business in some way while this active investigation is going on?
I think it's very much the kind of second part of what you said. I think any good attorney is going to advise their client to shut up at this stage of an investigation. I think the people that were managing David's career and producing his material at this point want nothing to do with him. And particularly given that at least some of his material was confessional, exposed some very kind of dark and disturbing, let's call them fantasies or ideations that he had, it would be absolutely toxic, both legally and professionally, to continue to put that kind of material out there under these circumstances.
Let me tweak that and say maybe allegedly confessional. I'm always weary of lyrics being used as a way to prove or disprove anything, particularly when they were recorded and when we're talking about something. But I hear you. Look, a lot of people online have been talking about the lyrics and the songs and what have you. I do want to go back to something that may be complicating this in one way or another. It's something I mentioned the other day, and I'm happy to have your perspective on it because we haven't talked about it. So the LAPD confirmed with KTLA that its prior news release, quote, stands on its own, essentially meaning this is what they previously said. There's currently possibly no other crime other than concealment of a body that may have occurred. That could change, right? That could change. But making that statement, it stands on its own. No case being sent over to the LA County District Attorney's Office for review or potential prosecution. And one of the reasons that announcement was made was because the Los Angeles County Medical Examiner hadn't yet determined a manner or cause of Celeste's death. Your thoughts on that? And does that affect why we haven't heard from David?
Well, I think all that just indicates this investigation is still very much ongoing. I mean, the statement they made recently just said they stand by the statement they made 6 weeks ago, which, as you said, just kind of spoke to what is obvious. We clearly have concealment of a body. We don't know yet what other crimes may have been committed and what we can prove. And you're right, we don't have a cause or manner of death. There's a lot of reasons that may be the case, but that just means that the investigation has to continue in other directions, looking at communications, seeking statements from witnesses and persons with knowledge of what happened to this child. And it just takes time. And LAPD very rightfully is keeping mum about this so as not to prejudice the investigation or any prosecution that might follow. And again, I think David is probably wisely following the advice of counsel and probably the advice of the folks who managed his career and remaining very quiet as well.
Do you think it could mean that whatever happened to Celeste is not clear on its face? If you were dealing with a case where it was evident from the crime scene that someone was shot, someone was stabbed, someone was beaten to death, they would come out and say that before the medical examiner would come out and say, listen, this is a homicide investigation. We see someone was brutally killed here. Is there some circumstance of her body that they're not sure about and they are waiting for confirmation? Is that possible?
That is absolutely possible. And you're absolutely right. If it was clearly a homicide on its face because of the condition of the body, like you said, a gunshot wound or something obvious like that, it would be very likely they just put that out there. What this suggests is that based on the condition of poor Celeste's body, based on the status of the examination at this time, they can't conclusively say how she died. That could be due to the amount of time that her body was kept under less than ideal conditions in terms of preservation of evidence. You know, there have been speculation that this might have been some kind of a drug-related death. Controlled substances can stay in the body of a dead person for days, maybe weeks, depending on conditions. We're now hearing that she may have been in that vehicle or in some other location for months before her discovery. That means that we may not learn from examination of where Celeste remains how she died, which means that the way in which she died is going to have to be determined through other sources. And again, it may come down to talking to people with knowledge of what happened. And that's a lengthy and complicated process legally and investigatively.
I spoke to Steve Fisher, the private investigator who's on the ground looking into this for the homeowner of that rental property. And he said he kept looking at, I believe, the LA County Medical Examiner's website, and they were starting to deliver cause and manner of death evaluations for cases that were in September. So it was his, analysis. Well, maybe we should expect we'll get an update in Celeste's case now, right? If they're backlogged and they're starting to get to September. Is that something we should expect? And with such a high-profile case, the way they would deliver that information or the way that information would be publicized, does law enforcement handle it differently? When it is time to release the cause and manner of death from the LA County Medical Examiner, is there a way that it's going to be published that may be different in typical cases?
That's an excellent question. I don't know if they can kind of put a lid on the ME's eventual findings, if they can ask for that to be kept confidential under these circumstances. I know that the LA Coroner's Office communicates and cooperates with homicide investigators in ways that maximize the chance of a successful investigation and prosecution, if that's where the facts lie. So the short answer is I'm not sure whether they could kind of keep a lid on it. I would say that in my own experience, when you're looking at examination of evidence from the body of a person, There's often several rounds of testing that take place. They'll look first at the place that they think they've got the best chance of getting the best evidence. If they don't find it there, they look someplace else. If they don't find it there, they look someplace else. There's different tests to test for different substances. So this could be a process that just takes a long time by process of elimination until, unfortunately, maybe you get to the place where you say, we just can't tell. This body has been under poor conditions for too long for us to be able to make a determination. I don't know when or if they're going to arrive at that place. But that doesn't mean the investigation is over at that point.
Right.
It just means that the investigators have to look for the truth in other places.
And looking for information, this is something I also asked Stephen, and want your perspective on it as well. He said that there's video that was provided to law enforcement where you can see who's moving that Tesla. It seems that there's an argument that they may have enough evidence to make an arrest of somebody for something. Even concealment of a body after an accidental death is a misdemeanor charge, I believe, in California, but no reported arrests. I always thought that if you make an arrest, that could lead to further information. You can question that person. They may not give information, but that could maybe lead to further search warrants. Why do you think we haven't seen an arrest at any level that may further the investigation? Or are they waiting to say, hey, if we're gonna move forward with charges, we have to make sure they're the highest level charges possible?
Well, it's definitely true that in a lot of cases, you start with the low-hanging fruit or the people that are kind of involved around the periphery of an offense and try to basically cooperate them to kind of move up the food chain in terms of criminal culpability. I would imagine one possibility at this point may be that, let's say they know who was the final person to move that vehicle. What they may not know is what else that person may have been involved in related to the death of Celeste. And until they have a clearer sense of that, they may not want to move on that person. You don't want to arrest somebody for a misdemeanor and give them some kind of immunity in order to get their cooperation and then realize, oh, shoot, this is actually the killer. And we just got to deal with them. And we lost the opportunity to hold them accountable. So yes, we're looking at the misdemeanor concealment of a corpse, as you and Steve discussed. There's the possible felony in terms of some harm that might have been done to her after her death. I know Steve Fisher has mentioned that there were what he called something like farm implements found in the home. If any of that.
Well, he clarified that in terms of what those instruments may or may not have been. Yeah.
Okay. But if anything was done to Celeste after her death to make her body easier to conceal or to get rid of, that could bring up the felony mutilation charge. There's felony charges for providing controlled substances to a minor. And even if her death was due to something like an overdose, as some people have speculated, the person or persons who provided her with those substances could be held liable for her death under theories ranging from involuntary manslaughter all the way up to first-degree murder. LA DA's office charged a Hollywood producer earlier this year with first-degree murder related to the drug-induced deaths of 2 women. So, there's a lot of possibilities here. And I would expect that if they're looking kind of at the people in David Burke's circle and David Burke himself or any other persons, they kind of want to know the whole universe and the totality of their involvement before they start moving on people and potentially offering deals for cooperation.
Matt Irvine, thank you so much for taking the time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Jesse. I appreciate the opportunity to talk.
And that's all we have for you right now here on Sidebar, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. And as always, please subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. You can follow me on X or Instagram. I'm Jesse Weber. I'll speak to you next time.
Yeah, this guy Matt right here, he was really good at stating what could be, what law enforcement might be doing. I think the way he was very elegant in his way of talking, very very knowledgeable about procedures with law enforcement. So I really like this guy, this Matthew guy, in this case. So that was good. That was refreshing to see somebody on panel, somebody new with that type of knowledge and that type of profession and that background. So I really appreciated his input, Matthew. Yeah, really good interview, really good questions. So full credit for Sidebar. It just came out today, and What's up, Flo Joe? Right, Gold Digger. Yeah, his clarity was good, easy to understand him. Right, and there's a lot of good points to him too. We're saying about how, if the manner of death they can't figure it out, then they just have to figure out another way. Talking to witnesses, video, and we've talked about that too. Just because the coroner's office or the ME comes back and it says undetermined or this or the other, that they can't figure out who did it or who moved the car. I mean, there's video, right? Uh, I mean, if someone captures on video moving the body, and it might be that they are trying to figure out felony charges, right? I mean, if they even touch the body, if they even try to uh, Celeste's body after she died to try to make her fit into the Tesla, then that's a felony. If they even try to hide her or conceal her in the manner of cutting her or uh, mutilating it or whatever it may be, or even attempted to, I mean, that's a felony right there too, and it would show. Stoked to essentially say, dude, Mark, I was like, wait a minute, where is her phone? Dang, I wonder what it could provide. I haven't heard a thing about it either, though. Yeah, I mean, it could be that law enforcement has it. Could be. And I mean, it just seems like these people are just itching to talk, like his inner circle. And as we saw earlier, um, yeah, Asia, this girl right here.
I want to go back to streaming so bad. Don't get me wrong. Like, I actually loved streaming, and I hopefully will come back to like some platforms soon. But the streaming community is so severely toxic right now, and I need people to understand that, like, there's so much stuff that goes behind the scenes that you guys just do not see. But I digress. You guys will probably find out some of the people I'm talking about very soon, because when you're a bad person, eventually everyone finds out naturally. That's the thing about bad people. They expose themselves. I don't need to do anything. Karma's a bitch.
Oh wow, I've been on mute this whole time. I'm so sorry. Wow, I'm so sorry. Oh man, I was on mute the whole time. Oh man. So I don't know what you guys heard, but pretty much he's just saying that for legal and safety reasons, I do not feel comfortable talking about the case. I will speak about it in due time. In the meantime, I suggest you don't believe everything you see online. And I was asking when I was muted, what do you guys think or feel that she might be saying? Don't believe everything. Yeah, I know, Gold Digger. Uh, I was on a good rant too. So what do you guys think that she's saying? Don't believe everything you see online. Is she meaning about the overdose? Is she meaning about the the relationship? Does she mean about the partying? I mean, what could she mean by don't believe everything you see online? I mean, yeah, of course we won't believe everything. We don't believe everything we see online. But what is she would be referring to that? What would she even be hinting at that? To me, that's very like. I mean, what? So what? Like, I shouldn't believe that her phone was stolen? Is that what she's saying? Do you see what I'm saying? How it can go both. It goes both ways. If she's saying that about what's online, then what she's posting online too. So don't believe what she's posting online too. Do you see what I mean? I mean, what do you guys think that could mean? And she's one of David's inner circles. It's her, Neil, Celeste Rivas. I mean, I'm sorry, Celeste Herrera, and Vanessa, the ones that we've seen so far. I'm sure there's other people in there, but those are the people that we see with each other all the time. So I do want to go over these pictures that came out today as well from SF Investigates, and I think these pictures are from the camera that David had that was left behind at the Hollywood Hills home, in my opinion. Yeah, it is a rabbit hole statement, huh? Definitely. Norma Guerra, hey, good to see you. So yeah, these pictures right here, they're pretty unsettling. And the date on this one is December 30th and December 31st, the ones that I'm going to show you. And these are from SF Investigates that he put up today. So this is a new picture that we haven't seen of Celeste Rivas. I mean, it's a pretty unsettling picture. hmm Yeah, so this one is December 30th, 2024 at 11:57 p.m. And let me read what he says. It's on his Twitter. I'll read it as you guys are listening in. So this is from SF Investigates Twitter at SF Investigates. He says on the night of December 30th through the morning of December 31st, 2024, David and Celeste were together in downtown Los Angeles, where several photos were taken in public. Celeste was 14 years old at the time and about 70 miles from her home in Lake Elsinore. Whether she was sober that night is open to interpretation. There is photo evidence of them together again on January 2nd, 2025. Then on January 8th, a sizable crew was filming a video with David out of state. And by January 11th, David is in his hometown in Texas. On January 2025, he is on a Delta flight. So my question is, SF Investigate says, where was Celeste between January 3rd and January 2025? Can anybody account for her during that time? There were many people present at the music video shoot. Did anyone see her there? What about in his hometown in Texas? Does anyone have proof of life for Celeste Rivas Hernandez after January 2nd, 2025? And I think we've all been asking that question, right? We've all been asking, and I mean, I've asked that question too on the Reddits. uh, forums. When was the last confirmed time, or when was the last picture taken of Celeste Rivas? When was the last time she contacted friends? When was the last time she contacted family members? And nobody seems to know. Some people are saying mid-July 2025, August, June, July. Well, no, that doesn't make sense. If it's June, July, August, well, it could be. But they're saying it could be as late as August, because that concert one that she's in the background, that's in August. So in early August. So I mean, maybe, man. The timeline is so, it's so impossible for me to put the timeline. No, I didn't see the statement they put out. Was that just now? And so here's a video. I mean, another picture, and this is from downtown LA. And David's holding a knife out. Pretty morbid. Here's another picture. These are all new pictures that came out today of a shed. Here's another one of the film crew. And the interesting part about Reddit too is that, I mean, somebody already figured out what this picture is right here, and this picture is right there. I mean, it's wild how like people figure this out right away. That's downtown LA, and it's like a 4 minute drive. Do you guys remember that party house that was somebody else found downtown? I'll show you guys right here. It's coming up right here. It's about a 4 minute walk, 21 minute walk and a 4 minute drive from where that picture is taken with the knife, David and downtown, to the house. Do you guys remember this house right here? To this house. And again, Reddit. Again, credit to Reddit, finding these locations. I mean, they were on it as soon as this picture came out. Somebody was on it already. So yeah, it's this person right here. So shout out to Remy Oranga from Reddit, figuring out where this picture was taken. This one right here of David in downtown LA. They were like, boom, right there. It's crazy, right? How they figure out where it is. Mm-hmm. Um, let's see. Oh, Flo just says, so they were together on New Year's Eve out downtown LA. So that means hundreds of people were out that night. Yeah, that's true. New Year's Day, New Year's Eve, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a good point. Gold Digger says, I don't know why people are not coming forward. And then Flojo says, if I saw the statement. Yeah, I haven't seen that statement. Do you know what they said? Is it long? Is it a long statement? I can look it up. Norma Guetta says, why are the friends being so quiet? I know, right? Stoke dissension. Oh yeah, all the pictures are so far freaking weird. Hmm. Yeah, so I mean, it's just a 4 minute drive to this house right here. Again, it's wild how they Reddit figures this out. There it is right there, that picture with the knife. Yeah, so I'm wondering if they went. I mean, this is an older picture of the ones that were Neo and Celeste Rivas are in. This one right here. But I'm wondering if they went there afterwards, or they were out in the town, or I mean, what? I don't know what they're doing. What's he doing, the 14-year-old downtown LA? And downtown LA, I mean, I've gone live in downtown LA. It is popping. It is live. it's lively. So I can't even imagine how it is on New Year's Eve. I mean, if on a Monday, Tuesday, it's everybody's out, I can only imagine how it looks like on New Year's Eve. Let me take a sip of my Coke Zero. Got my 2 liter. So these pictures came out today. And shout out to the true crime community keeping the story alive. Everybody from the news outlets that are still covering the case, true crime creators that are still covering the case. I mean, shout out to you guys. And Reddit too. Shout out to Reddit. Good information, bad information, but you have to sift through it. And they're not letting this sleep. They're not letting this case die down. They're not forgetting. Reddit, everybody, there's a lot of people that are just wanting, myself included, obviously, that want justice for Celeste Rivas. And Reddit is nonstop, nonstop. They don't sleep on this case. Hey, Darcy, good to see you. So I mean, this picture right here of Celeste Rivas is the last known public picture that we know of as of today. This one is the last known photo, public photo that we know of as of today. Is this one right here. And from January 1st, 2025 till now, till when was it? September 8th, and before that, because they're saying that she was in the trunk, in the front trunk for a while, for several weeks, maybe a month. Where was she before? Where was her phone, right? Where was her family? Where was her friends? Have they been in contact with her? Did she lose contact? I mean, there's all these. I mean, we went down a rabbit hole last night on our Discord. In our Discord is members only. So if you guys are interested in joining us, we have a really cool group of people there. Really nice. I mean, really helpful people and stuff like that. And they're they're all wanting justice. And if you guys are interested in that, member up, and then you guys can join the conversation on our Discord. Setting a photo on the Discord. Okay, cool. Speaking of the Discord, yeah. See? Gold Digger says yes. About out to shout out to all the Reddit, yeah, who seek justice. Absolutely, definitely, yeah. They're not letting this go, and I mean that's that's promising. You know what I mean? Where people still care about this case, and again, same with the true crime community who are still keeping it in the forefront and still covering the case. And I know with no new information, it's pretty hard too. Okay. Um. Whoa, that's wild. Let me bring this up. Dang. When did they post that? Was that today? It must have been today, right? Let's see. Dang, that's wild. Let me bring this up. Pretty interesting what they're saying. I'll read it with you guys. This is the first time me seeing it too, so we'll go over it together. Let me just bring it up. Alright. Bringing it up now. It's a photo, so it won't take much. Oh, October 8th. Wow. Let me bring this up. Yeah, it just seems like everybody's distancing themselves from David. So we'll read it together. So it's from Schooly Films. And they're saying, we were part of the production team behind David's One More Dance, a project that now feels different in light of the investigation surrounding David and Celeste Rivas. In recent interviews, David spoke about his alter ego Itami and how he killed Celeste in the back of his mind. His music videos are now being re-examined frame by frame. Whoa. And then this is it says, here's a brief look behind the scenes from January 2025. Whoa. That is wild. That is wild, man. Man. Unraveling true crime. This is a huge setup. Anything's possible. Anything is possible. But, damn, that is wild. That is wild what they're saying. So they're examining it frame by frame. Huh. October 8th, behind the scenes, January 2025. Damn, that is interesting. Yeah, thank you, Flojo, for that. Appreciate it. Let's see. I have this video too I want you guys to check out. Right here. Check this one out right here. This one right here. Mm-hmm. Damn, so this is from the this picture is from the woods in that video that we just saw the picture right here. Pretty interesting. Yeah, look at that. Look at that. Damn, that's interesting. So that's what people were saying, that she was in behind the scenes on this one. Isn't that wild? It's crazy because it starts out as a rumor, and then now it's like there's pictures and there's proof. That's so wild. That's so wild. I am tripping out. I mean that they're together. Do you know what I mean? Within these dates. Norma Gato says, I believe there is a lot of moving parts behind the scenes. Yeah, could be. But I do believe, in my opinion, this is just me speaking, that these pictures were from the pictures that were the camera that was left behind by David. Pretty wild stuff. And it's pretty and it's kind of hard cover a case when there's really not much new stuff that is coming out. But I mean, everybody's just waiting on pins and needles for the toxicology report. But how that guy Matthew, he was former law enforcement, is saying to, have we've said it too, and I've said it, where just because the toxicology report comes back either undetermined, or they can't find how she died, it doesn't mean that they can't, it just means that they have to go to another avenue and figure it out, and that's going to take time. I mean, I hope not. I hope we get answers, and I hope the toxicology report comes back, and we get more answers. But then with more answers, there's more questions. So, oh, they don't have video editing. Hmm. Oh yeah, that's true, right? That is true. Hmm. That's true. So maybe it's something different. Maybe the yeah, it's a good point, Flo. So maybe the production crew sent it. Yeah, that's a good point, right? See, that's what I like about this chat, is like we bounce off ideas and go from there. But yeah, I do think that too, Normal Ghetto. There's a lot of moving parts behind the scenes in the LA police department. I mean, I want to believe that. I want to be optimistic. Um, so yeah, that's a good question. I don't know if he said that they came directly from the camera. That was just my speculation. Um, but I'll look into that. I don't know if he did say that or not. I was just speculating, because how he was saying about the camera, now he's coming out with new pictures. He's saying there's thousands of pictures in that camera that was left behind by law enforcement. Um, I mean, I hope he releases um, some of those pictures, and it could jog somebody's memory. It could, potentially bring somebody forward and talk. It could potentially, somebody might see something in the pictures and be like, whoa, I remember that night. I was there. And, maybe they, like just like the Matthew guy was saying from Law and Crime, is he's saying that they're going to have to talk to witnesses. And the LAPD police department is probably keeping a tight lid so it doesn't prejudice the case. And that's smart. That's smart, because if you start leaking stuff from that department on a high profile case, and it prejudices the case, then you're fucked. Um, so that was a good interview. I really did enjoy that interview, and it's good to see new faces on online crime and new perspectives. Same with that other lawyer guy. I mean, he made some really good points too. Art art of the personal story. Hey, good to see you. Seriously believe that she was an art project. Man, that would be. Yeah, that's the thing, right? With either serial killers or perpetrators, or uh, any of those types of people, they don't think like how we think. And I'm not saying that who, David or anything like that. I'm saying those in general, serial killers and people with that killing mindset, they think differently than how we do. So that could fall into something like that, like an art project, right? Because it's so morbid, it's so beyond what we think and feel, that when they do something like that, whether they kill somebody, and I'm not saying that she was killed, but I'm saying just in general that they do that, they have something different rewired in their brain, um, when they do those kinds of things. So that's a pretty interesting comment. Um, Flojo says, "Kid, kid you not, he hasn't mentioned where the photos came from." Darcy, yep, production crew went everywhere, filmed videos and lives, perhaps with expensive equipment. Flojo, I have a video of photos from where Celeste and David were wearing the same black and gold do-rag where they were at a party. More photos confirm they were at a birthday party. Yeah, I mean, I really hope that there's more pictures coming out and more, um, you know, circumstantial evidence, if you want to call it that. I mean, if law enforcement left it behind for at the Hollywood Hills, then it might have not been as important as they would have thought it was. I don't know. I mean, I would have taken that camera, but then again, if they don't have a warrant for that specific camera, then they can't take it. Yeah, again, if you guys want to join the members only, if you guys want to join our Discord, it's members only Discord, and we have really good conversations in there about this case. If you want to member up, pictures and stuff like that. There's like memorial pictures in there too. I go to the memorial once in a while, go clean it up, go get some flowers, and put some positive energy out there. And it's from everybody. When I go out there, it's from to Lake Elsinore, to the memorial. It's from everybody. I go with everybody in mind, with the Shark family. So I want to thank you guys for that too. Definitely having my back and having the love and support for this case. And yeah, we're just not gonna let it let it fizzle out. And I mean, it just seems like it's just ready to burst at the seams for somebody just to come forward, to call in a tip, to just blow the lid off this case and say, hey, I was there. I know what happened. This is how it went down. Or I moved the car. I didn't know she was in there, but so and so told me to move it. Um, it just seems like it's just ready to pop. Like somebody's ready to pop and talk. And when the person that talks first is the one that usually gets a good deal. So if you know what happened, if you know what's going on, call it in, call in a tip to the law enforcement LAPD department, and tell them your story. Tell them what happened. I mean, if it was an accident, it was an accident. And who knows? Maybe somebody is talking already. Maybe the friends are talking. Maybe that's why Asia is saying, "Hey, don't believe everything that's out there." Maybe she's saying, "Hey, I'm already cooperating with law enforcement." I mean, who knows, right? If she's cooperating and is just an innocent bystander. Check the Discord for a video. Let me check. Hey, Kolosev, good to see you. Welcome. Darcy, thanks for all those updates, Flo. Yeah, absolutely. Kolo, hi, Mark the Shark. That pic of her head on the trunk. On a trunk. Oh, yeah, it's a trunk, right? The trunk of the tree. It's all these coincidences. Let me see if I can bring that video up that Flojo sent on our Discord. Here, 1 second. Gotta transfer it. And I've been looking at computers too, guys. I've been doing everything on my phone. And I've been looking at computers. So that way I can bring you guys some really good content and smoother content and bringing up information, because there are times when I do want to do some deep dives into this case, and it's a little bit difficult to bring up pictures and to look at pictures and stuff like that. So hopefully I get it soon. I'm checking them out, and that way I can bring you guys some smoother content, and we can deep dive into it. When I get the computer, I do want to go into a deep dive into everything. I mean, I want to go into a rabbit hole. If you guys want to go in a rabbit hole with me, then let's do it. So let me bring that video up. Okay, here it is. It's loading. Or not even a rabbit hole. We should call it the deep sea, right? Into the depths of the sea. If you guys want to come in with me and explore.
So we all
Damn, that's wild. Yeah, it's a deep sea. I'm gonna bring you guys in the deep. We'll go through everything. And yeah, I'm struggling a little bit with being on my phone. I mean, there's so many videos and pictures that people send me that I want to bring up and I want to show, and it's a little challenging to do it right on my phone. So I think deep sea diving, yeah, that's right. Um, hmm At this point, it's a deep sea. hmm Yeah, the Mariana Trench is like the deepest part of the ocean, right? Yeah, we'll call it we'll call it the deep sea. We'll call it the deep sea. Um, but that's all I got for you guys today. I said I wanted to go for an hour, so I have to wake up early tomorrow. But some new pictures that came out today, and a new long crime video. If you guys want to hit the replay, those that came in late, the long crime one was pretty good. I did like the new guests that were on. I mean, I've watched it 3 times already, and I'll probably watch it again. It's really good information and really well put together. So shout out to Long Crime and Sidebar and Jesse for his interviewing those 2 guests that were really good on his panel. But that's all I got for you guys today. Flo just said, I just heard a crazy speculation from the last place it came from and involves an account of Celeste trying to be hacked and other people posting from it. Yeah, that's the thing too, is like when these cases happen, people start looking into these accounts and they start hacking it. They start going into the accounts, they start messing around, they start looking around. Yeah, that happens a lot. That happens a lot. hmm Oh yeah, she has that ring too. Yeah, that do rag with his design or that design. But yeah, it feels like either somebody's already cooperating inside the circle. Because I mean, look at what Asia is saying, right? In her post today, that came out today. That came out a few hours ago. He's saying that she can't, for legal reasons, discuss what is going on with the case. So that to me is she's already talked um, to police. That to me is telling that she's already cooperating. That when this is over, or that when when things come out, then she'll be able to tell her story. I mean, these people are just waiting to tell their side of the story. You can just tell, right? Because they're young, they're on social media. They want to. You ever see teenagers 24/7 on their phone? I mean, this is how they are. They live off social media in the sense of that's what promotes them. So if they're not able to do that, I mean, it's got to be just excruciating for them not to talk. And to me, I feel my opinion is that they want to tell their side of the story. They want to tell what's going on. They want to say what was going to happen because maybe nobody's involved and maybe there's only just one person that is involved and that's it. So I mean, that could be too. I mean, that's one theory too out of all the theories that we've talked about. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was today. I double checked it too because I wanted to make sure. I was like, wait a minute, and then I saw that and I was like, whoa. Yeah, Colo, that's a good point. It took almost a year to bring Alex Murdaugh, and they were super tight-lipped about that too because they didn't want to mess up the that case, and for good reason because it was a family of lawyers and they had money too, and they had power, they had influence. So yeah, definitely, it's a good comment, good insight. Yep. I'm actually watching the Hulu documentary on that. Oh, it's a show. It's a really good show. It's on Hulu. Darcy says, "Yep, I saw that too. That another woman was using Celeste's account allegedly post Celeste unaliving. Whoa. Hmm. Yeah, Gold Digger too. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. Lawyered up. Everybody. I mean, I would too, right? If you're hanging out with somebody and then that happens, I would definitely lawyer up. Like I didn't have nothing to do with that. I don't know what the heck is going on. Shoot, give me a lawyer now, for sure. Close. Flo just says, "Yep, Cassandra Rose. Colo Murdaugh was a very complicated case with multiple crimes. Yeah, multiple crimes, right? It was like fraud, murder. I mean all kinds of crimes under the sun. Yeah, obstruction of justice. Yeah, it was a ton of freaking charges. Yep. Yeah, I'm watching a show on Hulu. If you have a chance to check it out, it's a really good show about the Murdoch uh, case. Little Moon Gemini? So crazy, I know speculation and all, but because David was into anime and manga, if you look up symbolism of head on a tree trunk, kind of wild. Huh. Yeah, and that's the thing too. It's like a lot of his videos, a lot of his posts are like symbolism. He definitely likes his symbolism. Hmm. Yeah, attempted murder too, Colo. Yep. Murder. Yeah, all kinds of stuff. Gemini says, and yeah, I was wondering who SF Investigates got the photos with Celeste on the trunk. Yeah, we were talking about that just now, and it might be. Yeah, I don't know. I was thinking that maybe from the camera that was left behind, but um, it could be from the crew. I mean, it could be from anybody at this point, but very interesting picture, right? Only her head, and then it's upside down. Loss of identity, fragmented self-psychological anime, sometimes used to disembodied heads to represent splitting a personality, trauma, loss of identity, feeling detached from humanity. Dang. Yeah, loss of identity. So Cole says picture came from the digital camera left behind at the mansion rental. That's what I thought too until Flojo was saying something about the that some cameras might not have editing software on it. and that looks. Let me bring it up. I mean, it does look edited, obviously, right? Because it's like the heads. So weird. So eerie. Now that we know, right, what happened to her. But this is the last known picture, the most recent last known picture of her that I know of. And you gotta think this was in December 30th, 31st, January 2025. And I mean, where are the rest of her pictures? From then till, July, June, July, August, September, when they found the body. Lilith Moon Gemini says, it's just weird that it's her head. And yes, if it's editing this out, I don't know the camera could do that if they can. Yeah, that's what Flojo was saying, so that was pretty interesting too. Um, yeah, that'd be interesting too, right, Colo? What other pictures, if there's thousands of pictures, what other pictures might be on there? What other potential evidence would be on there? But he says Celeste wasn't on there, that he only saw her in that camera roll or that digital camera feed uh, January 2025. I don't know. That's strange. That's very strange. Yeah, I don't know any camera that does that too. So that's pretty interesting. But that's all I got for you guys today. Again, I'm looking at computers right now, so that way we can do a deep dive on this case and bring up more information. Go into Reddit, go into news reports. Right, there's like a news report um, that came out first since when this case started, and I kind of want to revisit everything. And but yeah, that's all I got for you guys. You guys stay safe out there. I love you guys. You guys take care, and yeah, keep the story alive, keep the conversations going. Check out Reddit, check out other channels, and keep the story alive. And we're just waiting for the toxicology report. And if doesn't anything comes up from that, there's other ways to find the truth. The truth always rises to the top. Everything in the dark comes to light. So